Greetings, Wiatnon artifact fans. Here I am on the Conwell farmstead. We're still in quarantine, and we were thinking about some of the questions that we get most often, and that is about how can I get in to see a museum collection like the Wiatnon artifacts. Now, I've worked in museums over 40 years, and I've seen a lot of people try, but I have some ideas that I think might help you. The first one is how to initiate contact. What you want to do is don't trap them at a conference or anything, rather phone, email, or a good old-fashioned letter will work. If there's a curator listed on the museum's website, by all means, contact them through the contact form. If you don't have a normal, response in about 2 weeks, then you might want to try again. But remember, we're under COVID-19, so you need to be patient. Here's what you don't want to do. If you really want to tick off a curator, you go straight to the top. You think if you want to get in, why, you're going to contact the director of that museum, and then maybe you'll get in that way. Don't tick off the curator. Do make an appointment. Another thing that I see a lot of times is as reenactors, we travel a lot, and we think, hey, I'm in the Lafayette, Indiana area, so I'm just going to stop by the Tippecanoe County Historical Association and see if I can see those Wiatnon artifacts or any other collection that a museum might have that you're at. I think curators try to accommodate when they can, but please try to make an appointment in advance, because that way the curator knows you're coming. They can check their schedule, because you don't want to assume their schedule. So make that appointment. You want to try to schedule your visit at a time that is convenient for them. Sure, you know that 2 o'clock on May 20th on a Thursday is best for you, but always ask them for some time options that they might have. Also, don't assume open hours. One mistake I see a lot is when people travel to see museums, they show up on a Monday. Well, most museums are closed on Mondays because many of them are open on the weekends, so keep that in mind. If you're really serious about getting in to see a really spectacular collection, it helps to have a letter of introduction. Now, I know that sounds formal, or an email of introduction, but it really will help if you have someone that you've volunteered at their living history site or something like that. Then by all means ask them if they could write a reference, because sometimes a reference coming from one museum professional to another can really mean something. Don't have any references yet? By all means, get yourself ingratiated into the local living history or the museum or library around you and get that started. Volunteer and make some connections. Don't undersell yourself. Take this seriously. So many times I see a historical reenactor go, well, I'm not a professional museum person. What do I know? There's no way that they'll let me in. Don't undersell yourself. You've been studying history a lot, potentially, and it's good to tell them that what your background is. Do, and this is another one I see, be sure if you're in your own mind of your research objective and that you have a legitimate research interest. Be ready to explain exactly what you want to see and why you should be allowed to see it. Don't walk in and just go, I want to see all the Wiatnon artifacts you have. Well, sure, that'd be cool. There's a lot of them, but it's helpful with a curator if you can identify your specific research. Never lie if you're asked if you're a living historian, a reenactor, a craftsperson. Some museums tend to be a little skeptical about reenactors or craftspeople, but go in there with confidence. Bring your own research materials. This is another mistake that I see. Paper, pencil. Offer to pay for photocopies. Remember that the staff there is not your secretary or gopher. They're there to help you, but you are responsible for those items. Do remember that you are a guest and understand that museum staff has responsibilities for the items that you look at. There are ground rules of conduct and etiquette that the museum sets and make it your responsibility to learn them. In our second installment of the Museum Ladies' Do's and Don'ts, we'll be exploring this concept a little bit farther, so stay tuned.